are with another episode of GWEN Talks connected to the 5th annual GWEN Luminary Awards. We have an amazing guest today. I've been watching her work. I haven't met her in person yet, but we've spoken on the phone a few times. And this is Dame Julie Okah-Donli. And she's the Director General of the NAPTIP agency, which is the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, which was founded in 2003. So she became the Director General in 2017, but there's so much more I want to talk to her about. So welcome to the GWEN Talks, Dame Julie. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. And also, I'm just so honored to be able to honor you with the GWEN Luminary Award, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But I want to go back. I'm always intrigued by people's origins. So you got your law degree in Zaria, which is part of Kaduna. And we have a connection there with this fundraising part because we're going to be working with a hospital there for fistula surgeries for young girls that are forced into early child marriage. I'm interested in your beginning there and knowing that you're part of the North. And also, you know, what was the law degree? What was the interest in becoming a lawyer, which was so amazing for a young woman, a young girl to want to go into law? And you graduated with honors. What was the law that you specialized in and what attracted you to become a lawyer?
Well, I'd always wanted to be either a lawyer or a broadcaster. Since I was a young girl, and I finally opted for law. So it's something that I'd always been passionate about. And I ended up in Zaria because my older sister also attended Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. And then she was more or less like my role model. And I just, fell in Zaria, went through law, the degree, and then went to Lagos to attend the law school.
Oh, that's wonderful. So what kind of law did you specialize in?
No, in Nigeria, your first degree is like general, practitioners, it's like you're meant to know practically a little of everything, the different kinds of law, the law of evidence, land law, and so on and so forth. We don't really specialize in Nigeria, but of course, you may decide to stick to one part of law, maybe property law, land law, and things like that. Yeah, so in Nigeria, we're usually general practitioners.
What attracted you to the human rights part of everything? Because NAPTIP is such an amazing agency. I want to find out more about that. But what attracted you? In 2017, you were asked to become the Director General. What was that in your process and in your learning that got you intrigued and involved in human rights?
It was, it was so coincidental and I would say spiritual at the same time, because NAPTIP's appointment is a political appointment. So it is not something that I set out to do. I did not plan to work in NAPTIP, but I was appointed as the Director General of NAPTIP. But it was so easy for me because all my life I've always been like a human rights activist, if you like, and then I always loved to look after children, look out for children and women, especially, prior to my appointment, I just released a book called Parenting in the 21st Century. I wrote that book within 3 months. And, parenting in the 21st century, basically just talks about how to be a good parent and how to look out for your children so they don't get abused. So everything just fell into pleasant places, because it's something I've always been passionate about. And here I am being, appointed as the Director General of a law enforcement agency that has to do with, stopping human trafficking and preventing all forms of human rights abuses. So, it was just a perfect place for me to be, actually.
It feels like it's, as you said, very organic. What have you been doing within the agency? I know that on the website you have human trafficking, you have organ trafficking, and you have ritual killings. Not a lot of people talk about this. So can you share with us what that is, because it's now starting to come to the surface. I've been an advocate against human trafficking for about 8 years now. It finally came into my horizon. But the organ trafficking and ritual killing has been going on for a long time, and not very many people talk about it. What can you share that can educate us in the world?
Yeah, what I can say is that in 2015, we had to change the law to include organ harvesting because we know we had this very strong hunch that a lot of organ harvesting has been going on. Unfortunately, no one has been prosecuted for organ harvesting, but we've had so many cases where the police who are charged with trying people for what they call ritual murders, you know, always come up with this word ritual murder, you know, where organs of people are taken. But in NAPTIP, we think, no, we don't think this is a case of ritual murder. You need to look very closely. This might be a case of organ harvesting. And so we had to, you know, amend the law to include organ harvesting to give us the powers to try cases of suspected cases of organ harvesting. And we've talked to the police to ensure that we have joint operations together to ensure that we really look behind the veil to make sure that nobody treated anyone for organ harvesting.
You kind of, the reception's a little tricky right now. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
I can hear you very well.
Okay, because the network got a little tricky and it seems like your picture is frozen.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, so we'll just keep talking and hopefully your picture will come back, and I'll edit that little
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. There you are. You're moving again. You were frozen for a second.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've been dealing with network issues all week long. So anyway, the ritual killing, is that something that has been historically in place throughout Nigeria and Africa? And how are you bringing it to light now so we can change that perspective and change those laws?
Yeah, we've already changed the laws to give us the powers to try such killings. But you should we turn it?
Moving again, so that's good.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So that was why, yes, that was why we changed the law. We amended the law we try cases on organ harvesting. Oh la la. This place is not, we should have done it outside the building. Even if it means sitting out there and just holding it. Very soon.
It goes along fine, and then all of a sudden it just stutters.
It's frozen. Frozen.
I can hear you moving now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The network is so tricky.
I know.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're still trying to like work closely with the police to try cases of organ harvesting, because unfortunately that we can really unravel the mystery behind these so-called ritual murders, which we believe are cases of organ harvesting.
I'm so happy that you're doing the work that you're doing. And with regards to the survivors, you have your offices, but you also have shelters where you're doing rehabilitation with survivors of sex trafficking and human trafficking. What are the types of rehabilitation do you provide? Do you have workshops? Do you have counseling there, career counseling? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, you know, in all our shelters, we have trained counselors. Trained counseling skills acquisition. We train them on all sorts of skills, sewing, hairdressing, hair cutting. Some of them prefer to go through formal education. We also send them to school.
I don't know if you can hear me, but you're frozen again. Resume. Okay, it's resuming.
Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So we're trying to have joint operations with the police because most times cases of so-called ritual murders are reported to the police, you know, and so we've not really had cases of such cases coming to us directly. So if we're able to have joint operations with the police, I bet we'll unravel cases of organ harvesting because we have cause to believe that there are cases of organ harvesting and not ritual murders as people want to think.
Wonderful. And then we were also talking about what you're doing with the rehabilitation, which is what the funding that we're doing with the fundraising part of our show is to be able to
Yeah.
the rehabilitation and the workshops. So tell us what you're doing with the survivors and the education you're providing and all of that.
Yes, what we usually do is when we have shelters with trained nurses and counselors where we rehabilitate victims of trafficking, we give them psychosocial support, medical support, and we also train them on various skills. Now, whatever skills they want, some of them want to do hairdressing, some want to barb hair, some want to do nails and all of that, some want to do tailoring, all sorts of skills. Some of them prefer to have a formal education. And so we also sponsor them through school, primary school, secondary school, university. We've had about 3 of them who we sent through school. They are graduated and they are now working with NAPTIP as officers of NAPTIP. You know, so this is our success story. We've opened shops for some of them who are caterers, you know, who are into the catering business and so on and so forth. So that's what we practice. That's what we basically do most of the time.
What is the age range of the women? And I'm assuming there are some men that are rescued as well. What is the age range that you have in your shelters?
Wow, we have children, babies, you know, because in addition to human trafficking, we also fight the crime of violence against persons and rape. So we have babies as young as 4 months, you know, who were raped. Yeah. And so, you know, it's from 4 months to like maybe 30, 35, you know, different kinds of crimes that have been perpetrated on these girls. So we have children, young children who have been raped. We have children who are victims of domestic servitude. You know, we have children who have been victims of violence or some forms of violence and all of that. And then we have older girls who have been victims of human trafficking for the purpose of forced prostitution and so on and so forth. So we have different ages, different cases. Yeah.
How many agency offices and shelters do you have in Nigeria at the present time?
We have 10 offices in Nigeria. They are called zonal commands, and then we have state offices. Then we have 10 shelters, and then we have 3 liaison offices. Yeah, but we hope to have offices in all the states of the Federation. But meanwhile, we've gone around inaugurating human trafficking task forces in the states. So far, we have set up in 14 states, and we hope to set up in 36 states. So it's easier for the states to work closely with the federal government. So that way, there's more coordination, and it's easier to protect victims, to ensure that they are not easily trafficked. And even when they are trafficked, it's a lot easier for the states to work with the federal government to ensure that the victims are well rehabilitated and empowered before they are reunited to reintegrate back into their societies or communities where they came from.
It's so amazing what you're doing, and I wish that your format and your programming would be duplicated throughout the world. We need to have this formula. So I want to help working on that and seeing how we can bring it to the States as well, because what you're doing is quite astonishing and amazing. I hear that you had a new appointment this week as well to the UN. Tell us about that, and congratulations.
Wow, thank you so much. In fact, I'm so excited. I only got the mail yesterday appointing me as a board of trustees, a member of the board of trustees of the United Nations Victims of Trafficking Trust Fund. I have not yet been briefed. We're having the inaugural meeting next week. So at the meeting, I will be told what my responsibility will be. So right now, I really don't know what to expect until after the meeting. But so far, I've just been appointed as a member of the board of trustees, and it's a 3-year tenure. It's for 3 years.
Congratulations. What an honor that is. And in that, we are so honored to be able to honor you and with the GWEN Luminary Award, which will be an event coming up soon. I know our interviews are ahead of the award ceremony, but I want to talk about what's going on right now. You talked about working in tandem with the police force, which is really important, and the people of uniform that risk their life on a daily basis that are doing good for public service is really wonderful. But right now, you are often in the bigger cities in Nigeria under lockdown because of NSARS now. Can you talk about what's going on there? I know you're safe and outside of the bigger city, but tell us what's going on and what can we know to be able to help?
Well, right now, everything is under control. I can tell you that. The states have put up a curfew. There's a general curfew in most of the states now. So I think everyone is pretty much at home. The government is working very seriously to make sure that, nerves are calmed. The youths are calmed. They are meeting with the stakeholders. They are having consultations. They are having security meetings to ensure that this does not repeat itself anymore. And I'm hopeful that in the next few days, everything will return back to normal.
And when it does return back to normal, know that we are sending many prayers from the GWEN family and beyond. I know that this has become quite global attention, which needs to happen. It's happening all over Europe with police brutality, and it happens in the States. And I totally honor, as I said, those of uniform that are here to protect, and the corruptness and what's happening needs to be rectified. So I'm so happy that your government has control of the situation, and once it releases and things are back in peace and things are under control, we're going to move forward with our GWEN Luminary Awards, where you will be honored amongst other people. But I just want to thank you so much for accepting the award, and we'll be talking really soon. And I can't wait to be able to meet you in person next time I come to Abuja.
Thank you so much. I appreciate. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. This is another episode of GWEN Talks in tandem with the GWEN Luminary Awards for 2020. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more news.